Hello students, my name is Allison Dawson and I am the Student Development Specialist, English and Writing Tutor for ECTC's TRIO Student Support Services program. I hope that you all are doing well. Today I will be giving a brief virtual presentation titled Quick Tips, Coherence in Writing. As writers, we want to take our readers on a journey and guide them along the way so that they're easily able to understand our thoughts, ideas, and subject matter. One key component to ensuring this outcome for our readers is to make sure that we are writing in a coherent fashion, that our writing is consistent and organized throughout, kind of like a story, how each component of the story just flows and gets us from point A to point B. With that being said, it is my hope that through this presentation, you will develop a greater understanding of the value in writing coherently, and that you might apply these quick tips that we cover today to produce successful academic writing. Let's begin by going over a little bit about transitions. Transitions show connectivity between our ideas as we write. A few transition words you might be familiar with are first, next, then, and last, but there are a couple items we need to be sure to remember as we are using transition words. First, that we are varying our transition word choice. We don't want to use the word next and then use the word next again. That can be very repetitive and distracting to our audience. We also want to make sure that we are utilizing transition words accurately based on their meaning. Let's take a look at transition words and meanings and see how this works. And so if we're going to maybe talk about comparing two ideas in our writing, we might use the word likewise or similarly. If we're going to talk about an outcome, we might use the word accordingly, as a result, or therefore. We want to make sure that the words that we choose function to accomplish what we need them to in our writing so that our readers have complete clarity as we go through. And so make sure that you're choosing the right words. And I would recommend that you write these down or get a really good list of transition words as a guide to make sure that you're adding those in there to provide that clarity for your audience. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. And the first example we're going to go over is without any transition words. I want you to notice how the writing flows throughout. The development of a growth mindset requires one to have the desire to persist. Place yourself in the shoes of a student learning a new skill. The student will likely face unexpected obstacles or setbacks. Having the ability to persist through challenges when learning will remove feelings of discouragement or failure. The student's mindset will now view these circumstances as learning opportunities. Now we go from idea to idea, but the ideas don't really flow together as much as they would with transitions. Now we've included 4 transition words here, but they did make a really big impact. Also, for your reference as we go through, I've included on the right side of the slide here all the transition words we've used and their meaning directly below them. And so reference that if you need to as we read through this. Primarily, the development of a growth mindset requires one to have the desire to persist. For example, place yourself in the shoes of a student learning a new skill. The student will likely face unexpected obstacles or setbacks. However, having the ability to persist through challenges when learning will remove feelings of discouragement or failure. Furthermore, the student's mindset will now view these circumstances as learning opportunities. So we started with that word primarily, talking about mainly, this is what we're going to go over. This is what we're talking about, transitioning to that example. We use that word, however, to contrast. While the student will face setbacks, they will have the ability to persist through challenges and that will remove feelings of discouragement or failure. And then furthermore, this will be that outcome. And so kind of understand how much of an impact that these transition words can make in providing that clarity to your reader. The next item we're going to talk about today is intended repetition. And this is defined as repeating specific words to achieve coherence. This can really be helpful in keeping your audience focused and on track. Let's take a look at an example. Growth mindset also requires one to learn from criticism. While initially discouraging, criticism allows for personal increase and enhancement. So we really wanted to emphasize here that criticism is essential to learn from as far as developing that growth mindset. It allows for personal increase and enhancement. By mentioning it twice, we added in that emphasis there on that. And so that kind of can help keep our audience on track and present that clarity even further for our audience. So look out for places in your writing where you can utilize intended repetition. The last quick tip we're going to talk about today is parallelism. Parallelism is a technique that places emphasis on words, phrases, or clauses within our sentences as they are matched in grammatical form and structure. This technique increases that connectivity, those smooth transitions, and in other words, provides that clarity to our readers so that they can better understand what we're talking about. So let's take a look at a few examples. Under example 1, I want to point out something called faulty parallelism. This can occur when we don't have that parallel structure and grammatical form in our words, phrases, or clauses. And this can occur if we're not careful in word endings. Think about ed, ing endings, in verb forms, and with unintended passive voice, excuse me. And so let's take a look here at some examples. Under A, incorrect example, reads, Dawson observed the students brainstormed, were discussing, and research was done to problem solve and complete the daily challenge. This sentence reads very weirdly, a lot of distracting elements here because of the lack of parallelism. So brainstormed has that ed ending, and then we have word discussing. Discussing has that ing ending. So you can automatically right off the bat note the difference in endings there. That's kind of distracting as far as the way this is worded. Also, we have a bit of passive voice here, which we don't need. We know that Dawson observed. We don't need to know that research was done too. Very distracting there, the way that that's worded, that passive voice. And so let's take a look at the revised example, which reads, Dawson observed the students brainstorming, discussing, and researching to problem solve and complete the daily challenge. One coherent idea here. We have that ing ending through and through to be parallel. We took out that passive voice, and that really cleared everything up there. So look for these, look for passive voice, look for any words that don't have that parallel structure in your writing, and be prepared to revise those as needed. Faulty parallelism can also occur when we're listing items in a sentence, when we add a phrase in there when we should just have a word. And so here's what I mean by this. Part B, the incorrect example reads, growth mindsets build persistence, effort, and the desire for improvement. So we have persistence and effort, both one word, and then we have this phrase, the desire for improvement. As we jump down to our revised example, which reads growth mindsets build persistence, effort, and enhancement, we see that parallelism there with that one word rather than that phrase in there. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about in this instance as well. Just be aware of those times when we can revise that for that faulty parallelism to prevent all that. Parallelism is also required when we use coordinating and correlative conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions are the and, but, for, or, nor, yet, and so. Quick example for you here reads, students will better comprehend instruction if they are seeing, hearing, and interacting to learn the material. Again, we have a list here, that parallelism with the ing ending, but the word and in there is that coordinating conjunction. And so watch out for those. Correlative conjunctions, either or, not only but also. Our example for correlative conjunctions reads, it is essential not only to take notes, but also to review them to comprehend information. One coherent idea there, watch out for those correlative conjunctions as well. And really pay attention to that parallelism in your writing, as without that, based on our examples we've seen, it can be very distracting to our readers. We want them to have all the clarity. As we conclude today, if you need any additional guidance on coherence in writing, please check out these resources. Khan Academy has a great video on parallel structure. Be sure to go watch that. Wheaton College has a web page on transitions. Really great items there about transitions as well. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to contact me. My name, email, phone number, and availability are listed on this slide. I thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that you have a blessed day.